Hi children. So today I want to explain squares and square roots. This is your 8th class 6th chapter in your NCERT. So in this chapter I want to explain what is square number and what is square root and what is perfect square number and what are the properties of a square numbers. And in your NCERT textbook it is very small chapter, but I want to explain this chapter in a brief class. So before that I want to explain what is a square. Square number is nothing but a square of a nature. The square of a nature number is that number is raising to power of 2. So here I wrote one definition for the square number. Square number is nothing but the square of a number is that number raising to power 2. So already you know that, for example, if a number a is a number, then its square is, we can call it as a square. A square is nothing but a into a. So here a square is the square of a. So that a square is equal to a into a. For example, if you take a number 5, what is its square number? Means 5 square, that is 5 into 5, 25. If you take 4, 4 into 4 is 16. So 25 is the square number of a and 16 is the square number of 4. So this is a brief definition about the square number, and you know very well in 6th class and 7th class also we did so many problems on this. So the perfect square numbers. The perfect square numbers are for example, if I go for 1 square is equal to 1. So 2 square is equal to 4 and 3 square is equal to 9 and 4 square is equal to 16. So if I write like this, so this 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, these numbers are called as the perfect square numbers. But 3, 5, 6, 7, 11, these numbers are not perfect square numbers, because we cannot write these numbers as a product of two equal factors. For example, 81 is there. 81 I can write 9 into 9. So I wrote this 81 as a pair of two equal factors, that is 9 into 9. For example, 121 is there. I can write 11 into 11. So this is also a pair of equal factors. But here if you'll go for 100, I can write this is 10 into 10. So we can write in the equal factor. Therefore 81, 121 and 10, 100 are the perfect square numbers. For example, if I go for the 12, we can write 3 into 4. But these 3 and 4 are not a pair of equal factors. Therefore 12 is not a perfect square number. So perfect square numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. Like that, those numbers are called as a perfect square numbers. The perfect square number means nothing but we can write that those numbers in the product of a pair of equal factors. So this is a square number and what are the perfect square numbers. So in 8th class I am instructing all 8th class students, at least you want to learn up to 30 numbers, means 1 square to 30 square you have to remember in your mind. So 30 square is 900. So 1 to 900, those numbers you want to remember in your mind, so that it will be useful in solving different types of problems. So this is called as a perfect square numbers. So these perfect square numbers will follow some perfect square numbers will follow some properties, Nana. So those properties we need to see and we need to check. For example, here the first property I am explaining. For example, here 1 square is equal to, we are saying is 1, and 2 square is equal to, we are saying is 4, 3 square is equal to 9. In the same way 4 square is equal to 16 and 5 square is equal to 25 and 6 square is equal to 36 and 7 square is equal to 49 and 8 square is equal to 64 and 9 square is equal to 81 and 10 square is equal to 100. So if you observe carefully, in 1 square the number ends with 1. In 2 square this ends with 4. And in 3 square it is ending with 9. In 4 square it is ending with 6. And in 5 square it is ends with 5. and that 6 square is ending with 6, already 6 came. So 7 square it is ending with 9, already 9 came. 8 square it is ending with 4, already 4 came. 9 square it is ending with 1, and 100 square ending with 2 zeros, means here 2 zeros means even number of zeros, even number of zeros. If you see carefully, in 1 square it is ending with 1, and 2 square it is ending with 4, 3 square it is ending with 12. Up to 10 squares, all numbers are the numbers are ending with 1, 4, 9, 6, 5 and even number of zeros. So these numbers are not ended. I mean, in units place there is no 3, there is no 2, and there is no 5 is there, 6 is there, there is no 7, there is no 8. So the first property, if a number, if in units place, in a number, if in units place is with 2, 3, 7 and 8, and another one property, odd number of zeros, odd number of zeros. So if a number ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 or odd number of zeros, it is not a perfect square. So you listen the statement and the first property carefully. If a number ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 and odd number of zeros, it is not a perfect square number. For example, if I write here 278, he will ask you whether it is a perfect square number or not. Just you want to see the units digit, it is ending with 8. Therefore, it is not a perfect square number. It is not a perfect square number. For example, 21370 is given. So whether it is a perfect square or not. So it is ending with 10. 1 means odd number. So it is ending with only 10. Therefore, it is not a perfect square number. So like that we can identify if a number ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 and odd number of zeros. For example, 5, 7, 3, 6, 0, 0, 0. Whether it is a perfect square or not. Yes, it is not a perfect square because it is ending with 3 zeros. 3 is an odd number, therefore it is not a perfect square. But you want to listen carefully. This property is very, very important because I am explaining that if a number ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 or odd numbers of zeros, it is not a perfect square. So we can't say if a number ends with 1, 4, 9, 6, 5 or even number of zeros is not always a perfect square number. For example, here 121. 121 is ending with 1. Therefore, it is a perfect square number, 11 square. Therefore, we can say it is a perfect square number. But 41, if I take 41, it is also ending with 1. So, it is not a perfect square. So, this property, this is very, very important property you want to understand. That is, if a number ends with 1, 4, 9, 6, 5 or even numbers of zeros, it may be or may not be a perfect square number. Sometimes it may perfect square number, sometimes it may not be perfect square number. But in this case, we can say directly if a number ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 and odd number of zeros, it is not a perfect square at all. So this statement is direct, we can explain, but this statement we cannot say those numbers are directly perfect square numbers. So this is the difference between these two statements. So the first property is you want to understand, that is the number ends with, I mean if the digits in units, if the units digit is 2, 3, 7 or 8 and it is ending with an odd number of zeros, we can write a statement, this is not a perfect square number. But if a number ends with 1, 4, 9, 6, 5 or even number of zeros, it is we cannot write directly it is a perfect square number. It may be perfect square number or may not be perfect square number. So this is the first property of square numbers. Next, the second property is the number of zero at the end. In a square number, for example, if you take 10 square, you can write 100. In the same way, 100 square, we can write this is 10,000. And if I write 1000 square, we want to keep 6 zeros. So if you'll see, if a number ends with a 0, its square number ends with always even number of 0. In 10 square there are 2 zeros. In 100 square there are 4 zeros. In 1000 square there are 6 zeros. 2, 4, 6. So if a number ends a perfect square, if a number ends with 0 and if you make it as a square, then in this square number it is always having even number of zeros. This is the second property. So if it is having even number of zeros, then we can say it is a perfect square. In case of if we square these numbers 100 and 10, 100, 1000, then it will be, you will get as even number of zeros, 2 zeros, 4 zeros, 6 zeros. But if a number ends with odd number of zeros, for example 5 zeros, this is not a perfect square because we cannot write as a pair of equal factors. So always the number of zeros in a perfect square number is even. The number of zeros in a perfect square is always even. Next property, the third property, this is the first property and this is the second property. The third property, if you want to interest, you write down. The third property is square of even is always even and the square of odd is always odd. So for example, here I will write some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that I will write. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9 and 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, 6 square is 36. 1 is odd and its square number also odd, and 2 is even and its square number also even, and 3 is odd, its square number also odd. 9 is odd number. 4 is even, its square number also even, and 5 is odd, so its square number also odd number, and 6 is even, then its square number also even. So this is very, very important property. The square of an odd number is always odd and the square of an even number is always even. For example, he is given that 333 square is equal to 990 is given. For example, whether this statement is right or wrong, he is asking. 33 square is equal to 990. So if you multiply 33 into 33, you will get the answer. But without seeing that multiplication, we can say it is the wrong, because 33 is an odd number. 33 is an odd number. So its square number should be odd. But here 990 is even. So the 33 is odd. So the given statement is wrong statement, because according to this property, the square of odd number is always odd number. The square of even number is always even number. This is the third property. And the fourth property, this is very, very important property. The fourth property, for example, I will go for 1 square is equal to 1 and 2 square is equal to 2 and 3 square is equal to 9 and 5 square is equal to 25 and 9 square is equal to 81 and 10 square is equal to, like that you take some square numbers. So here here 1, 2, sorry, this is 4, I am very, very sorry, 2 square is 4, 9, 25, 81, 100 are the perfect square numbers. Except one square, I mean except this one, the remaining all perfect square numbers. If the remaining all perfect square numbers, if 4 is divided by 3, you will get remainder as 1. If 4 is divided by 3, the remainder is 1. If 9 is divided by 3, the remainder is 0. And if 25 is divided by 3, the remainder is 1. And 81 is divided by 3, the remainder is 0. And 100 is divided by 3, the remainder is 1. So you observe carefully, if a perfect square except 1, if a perfect square number except 1, 4, 9, 25, 81 and 100 I have taken in this example. If a perfect square is when divided by 3, only 2 cases you are getting. If it is completely, perfectly divisible by 3 or it is leaving remainder 1. So the fourth property is what is saying means all perfect squares when divided by 3, those perfect squares are sometimes the multiples of 3. Means multiples of 3 means they are giving remainder 0, and sometimes it will leaves 1 only. There is no chance to leave as a remainder 2. There is no chance to leave as a remainder 2. So always they will give remainder 1 or remainder 0. So when it is gives the remainder 0, we can say that is the multiple of 3. When it is gives remainder, for example, in case of 4, 25 and 100, they are giving remainder 1. But in case of 9, 81, it is giving remainder 0. So every perfect square, either it is a multiple of 3 or leaves remainder 1. This is the fourth property. So every perfect square except 1, either multiple of 3 or leaves remainder 1. This is the fourth property. For example, here I want to write one question, 332, whether it is a perfect square or not. According to the fourth property, we can check it. According to the fourth property, we can check it. How can we check? For example, 332, if we will divide with 3, you see it is 3 ones are 3 and 0, again 3, 3 ones are 3, it is 0, again you want to take 2, 3 zeros are 0, so it is giving remainder is equal to 2. So it is giving remainder is 2. So there is only two cases, either if it is a perfect square number, if 332 is a perfect square number, it wants to give remainder as 0 or 1, but here it is giving remainder is 2. Therefore we can say it is not a perfect square number. Therefore it is not a perfect square number. 332 is not a perfect square number because it is giving remainder as 2. So my statement is all perfect square numbers except 1, when it is divided by 3, they are sometimes they are the multiples of 3 or sometimes they will give remainder 1. So this is the fourth property. So next I want to go for the fifth property. This fifth property is very important property. So on this property you have some questions in your NCERT textbook also. For example, I want to take some numbers here, 27, 51, 36, 45, 122, 79. So these are the numbers I have taken. For example, if I make them as square, 51 square, 36 square and 45 square and 122 square and 79 square. So if you make a square, then you will get an answer here. I mean, if 27 square means if you will multiply 27 and 27, here you will get one answer. But my question is, if 27 is squared, what is its units digit I am asking. So what is its units digit? This is the property of fifth, that is nothing but here its units digit is 7. If you will make 7 square is equal to 49. Therefore 9 in units place you will get 9. So I am not asking about the answer, just I am asking what is its units digit. When it is square, I am asking. If 27 is squared, in that answer the units place is 9 because 27 ends with 7. 7 square is equal to 49. The units digit is 9. That's why I wrote here. Here 51 square. What is its units digit? 1. 1 square is equal to 1. So in the answer it will ends with 1. 36, it is having 6 is the units place. 36, 6 square is equal to 36. Therefore again it will ends with 6. Next here 45, so the units digit is 5. 5 square is equal to 25. Therefore it ends with 5. So if 122, what is its units place? 2 is its units place. 2 square is equal to 4. Therefore in this answer it is ends with 4. Next 79 square is there. What is its units digit? 9 square. So 9 square is equal to 81. Therefore 1, it will ends with 1. So here I am making a chart. If you will see carefully, see the units digit of a number. If a number ends with 0, its square also ends with 0. If a number ends with 0, its square also ends with 0. How? You see, Nana, 20 square is equal to 400. So it is ends with 0, therefore its square also ends with 0. Next to 50 square is equal to 2500. Again it is ending with 0. So if a number ends with 0, its square number also ends with 0. Next, if the numbers ends with 1 or 9, again they will ends with only 1. For example, here 21 square and I want to say as 9 square. So 21 square is 441, 9 square is equal to 81. So in 21 square, what is the units digit? 1. So if in square value it is ending with 1. In 9 square, it is also ending with 1. So if the number is ends with 1 and 9, its square number also ends with always 1. And the same way, if a number is ends with 2 and 8, it ends with 4. If a number ends with 2 and 8, it ends with 4. If a number is ends with 3 and 7, it is always ends with 9. And if a number is ends with 4 and 6, it ends with always 6. And if a number is ends with 5, it is always ends with 5. But here, according to this information, I want to make a statement 0, 1, 5, 6. If you'll see these four numbers, I want to make a statement here. If a number is ends with 0, its square number also ends with 0. If a number is ends with 1, its square number also ends with 1. If a number is ends with 5, its square number also ends with 5. If a number is ends with 6, its square number also ends with 6. So by using this fifth property, I wrote another one condition. This is that condition 0, 1, 5, 6. If the numbers are ends with 0, its square number also ends with 0. In the same way, it ends with 1, its square number also ends with 1. If a number ends with 5, its square number also ends with 5. If a number is ends with 6, again its square number also ends with 6. So this property you want to keep in your mind. It is very, very easy. For example, he will ask you one question, 227 whole square. If you make this 227 whole square, what is the units digit in its answer, he will ask you. If you make 227 square, what is the units digits in this answer, he will ask you. So what is the units digit in the given number? 7. 7 square is equal to what, Nana? 49. So it is ending with 9. Therefore here you want to write 9 as the answer. So according to this property, so many questions he will ask you. Next, I want to explain about the sixth property. The difference of squares of two consecutive numbers is equals to their sum. For example, two consecutive numbers. You take any two consecutive numbers, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. So these three are the consecutive numbers. The difference of squares of two consecutive numbers. The difference of squares of two consecutive numbers. Just I want to check. So the difference of the squares of these two consecutive numbers. You see 3 square minus 2 square is equal to 9 minus 4, that is equal to 5. Here 6 square minus 5 square, that is equal to 36 minus 25 is equal to 11. Next, in this case, 9 square minus 8 square, that is equal to 81 minus 64, that is equal to 17. So if you'll see carefully, this property is very, very important property. The difference of squares of any two consecutive numbers is nothing but the sum of the numbers. For example, if I take n is one number and its consecutive number will be n plus 1. So I am making a general statement here, n plus 1 whole square minus n square. So n plus 1 whole square minus n square means the difference of two consecutive numbers. The difference of squares of two consecutive numbers is equals to sum of these two numbers, means n plus 1 plus n. So this is the property. So here if you will check it, it is correct. You see, Nana, 3 square minus 2 square is equal to 9 minus 4, 5. 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. Next, 6 square minus 5 square is equals to 11. Again, 5 plus 6 is equals to 11. In the same way, 9 square minus 8 square, you are getting 17. Then 8 plus 9 is equal to 17. So n plus 1 whole square minus n square is equals to the sum of two consecutive numbers. That is, sometimes he will ask you 91 square minus 90 square is equal to how much, he will ask you. 91 square minus 90 square. So you don't want to do the value, you don't want to find the value of 91 square and 90 square, and you don't want to do the subtraction of those two values. Simply you can say, according to this property, 91 and 90 are the two conjugative numbers. Therefore, their difference is equals to sum of these two numbers, that is 91 plus 90, that is equal to 181 is the answer. So 91 square minus 90 square is equal to 181. For example, 25 square minus 24 square if you'll ask. So 25 and 24 are both are the conjugative numbers. Their difference is equals to sum of these two numbers, means 25 plus 24, that is equal to 49. You can write directly the answer. So this is the sixth property. Once again I will read that property. The difference of squares of any two conjugative numbers, natural numbers, is equals to their sum. So this is very, very important. And according to the application or the properties of a square numbers, that is another thing is there, that is Pythagorean triplet. What is Pythagorean triplet? I want to explain. So you already know the Pythagoras theorem. This is belongs to right angle triangle. If I go for ABC is a right angle triangle. So this we can say as height, and this is base, and this we can say as hypotenuse. So this is hypotenuse. So you say this is A, this is B, and this is C. I mean, A means the length of AB is equal to A and the length of BC is equal to B, and AC is equal to C, means according to Pythagoras theorem, C square is equal to A square plus B square. So that is nothing but hypotenuse square is equal to height square plus base square is the Pythagoras theorem. Or we can say another statement, that is in a right angle triangle, the biggest side square is always equals to the squares of the sum of other two sides. That is the statement of Pythagoras theorem. So in this right angle triangle, hypotenuse is the biggest. That's why C square is equals to squares of these two numbers. That is C square is equal to A square plus B square. So this is the brief introduction about the Pythagoras theorem. But here, what is Pythagorean triplet? What is Pythagorean triplet? For example, you take any even number. Even numbers means you take as 2, 4, 6, 8. These are all even numbers. So like that we can write so many even numbers. But here, if 2 is a number, we can write another two numbers which are accepting the Pythagorean triplet. Means I will tell you. So directly I want to explain 2m, comma m square minus 1 and m square plus 1. These three numbers are called Pythagorean triplets. The numbers which are in the form of 2m and m square minus 1 and m square plus 1 are called as the Pythagorean triplets. So why I taken this even numbers means, for example, I want to write the Pythagorean triplets of 2. I want to write the Pythagorean triplets of 2. So here 2m is equal to 2. 2m is equal to 2. Therefore m is equal to what you will get, 2 by 2, that is equal to 1. Now m value I got, that is 1. So another two numbers I want to write, m square minus 1 and m square plus 1. So m square minus 1 is equal to what, Nana? 1 square minus 1 is equal to 0, and m square plus 1 is equal to 1 square plus 1 is equal to, we can write 2. So but you cannot take 2 as the Pythagorean triplet, because one value you are getting 0. So you should not take 2 as the example for that. Except 2, you can take any other numbers. For example, if you go for the 4, so 2m is equal to 4 and m is equal to 4 by 2. So m value you will get as 2. M value will get as 2. Now you want to write another two numbers, that is one is m square minus 1, another one is m square plus 1. So that is 2 square minus 1 and another one is 2 square plus 1. So 4 minus 1 and 4 plus 1. This is 3 and this is 5. Now you can say that what is Pythagorean triplets are 2m, comma m square minus 1, comma m square plus 1. These three are the Pythagorean triplets. Therefore 2m is equal to what, Nana? We said that 4, and m square minus 1 is called 3, and m square plus 1 is called as 5. So we can say this 4, 3, 5 are the Pythagorean triplets. For example, the same question he will ask you. I want to explain with other pen. For example, write Pythagorean triplets of number 12. So he will give you some big values sometimes. What are the Pythagorean triplets of 12? So in the same formula, 12 is an even number. Just you take 2m is equal to 12. So m is equal to 12 by 2. So m is equal to, you can get as 6. Now another two Pythagorean triplets you want to write, that is m square minus 1 and m square plus 1. Therefore this is 6 square minus 1, 6 square plus 1. So 6 square minus 1 means 36 minus 1. This is 36 plus 1. So this is 35 comma 37. Therefore Pythagorean triplets are, the given number is 12, that is 2m, and m square minus 1 value we got 35, and this is 37. So these three numbers are called as Pythagorean triplets. The numbers which are in the form of 2m and m square minus 1 and m square plus 1, those numbers are called as Pythagorean triplets because those three numbers will accept the Pythagoras theorem. So in these three numbers, m square plus 1 is the bigger number. M square plus 1 is the bigger number. So this will be the hypotenuse and the other two sides will be this. So it will accept the Pythagoras theorem. I mean, the square of this number, I mean m square plus 1, is equals to the sum of squares of these two numbers. That's why 2m comma m square minus 1 comma m square plus 1 are called as Pythagorean triplets. So this is the property number 7. So if I go for the last property, that is nothing but what is the eighth property? I am going to explain the eighth property. It is also very, very important. For example, here 31 square minus 30 square and 45 square minus 44 square. You see, Nana, this is nothing but the conjugative numbers. The difference between the squares of two conjugative numbers. The difference between the two conjugative numbers. I mean, if I wrote 31 square is equal to 961. 31 square is equal to 961, and 30 square is equal to 900. So this is nothing but 961 minus 900. So how many numbers are there between these two means you can write how many numbers you will get, Nana? How many numbers, how many non-perfect square numbers you will get? That is 60 you will get in between. I am not asking the difference of these two. So here you will get, if you will subtract, you will get 61. But this is a perfect square number and this is a perfect square number. There are 60 non-perfect square numbers are there in between 31 square and 30 square. So my property is, if n comma n plus 1 are two conjugative numbers and n plus 1 square and n square, these two are the perfect square numbers. These two are the two conjugative perfect square numbers. So what the eighth property is saying is, there are, if these two are the two conjugative perfect square numbers, there are 2n non-perfect square numbers between these two. There are 2n non-perfect square between these two. According to my example 1, this 31 square minus 30 square means how many non-perfect square numbers are there in between means this is n plus 1, this is n, because this is the smaller number. 2n means what, Nana? 2 into 30, that is equal to 60. So how many numbers will be in between these two numbers? There are 60. In the same way, if you go for the second example, this is 45 square and this is 44 square. Here also 2n. N is the small number. So 2 into 44, that is equal to 88 numbers between 45 square and 44 square. So what eighth property is saying means, there are 2n non-perfect square numbers between two conjugative numbers n square and n plus 1 square. So there are, if n plus 1 whole square and n square, these two are the squares of two conjugative numbers. So in between these two, how many numbers will be lie between these two means you don't want to count. Just the formula is 2n. 2n means this is the n value. So 2 into that number you will get the answer. Here 31 square minus 30 square. N is 30. 2 into 30 you will get 60. Here 45 square minus 44 square means 2 into 44, there are 88 non-perfect square numbers you will get in between these two numbers. So on basis of this eight properties, there is a exercise in your textbook. Some patterns also is there in your textbook. I don't want to explain those patterns because they are very easy. You can do easily those patterns. Here I want to explain some questions in your NCERT textbook. So the exercise 6.1, what will be the units digit of the squares of the following numbers is the first question. So already I explained. For example, here 81 is there. 81 square, if you will make the 81 square, what is the units digit in that he is asking. So 81 ends with 1, so 1 square means 1, so its square number also ends with 1. In the same way 272, you don't want to square all this number, just you see the units digit, that is 2, 2 square means 4, so its square number ends with 4. Here 799, so what is its unit digit? 9. 9 square means 81. So 81 units digit is 1. So the square of 799 ends with 1. So this number is ends with 5. So its square number also ends with 5. This number is ends with 6. So its square number also ends with 6. And if you go for the 8th question, this is ends with 0. Therefore its square number also ends with 0. Like that you can write a comment on that, on those questions. The following numbers are usually not perfect square numbers given reasons. You see, Nana, I already told you in first property only. What is the first property, Nana? If a number is ends with 2, 3, 7, 8 or odd number of zeros. You see, Nana, first one, it is ending with 7. Therefore, it is not a perfect square number. If a number ends with 7, it is not a perfect square. If a number is ends with 3, it is not a perfect square. If a number is ends with 8, it is not a perfect square. In the 4th question, if a number is ends with 2, it is not a perfect square. So, but in 5th question, you want to write another comment, that is, it is ending with odd numbers of zeros, because 3 zeros are there. If a number is ends with odd number of zeros, it is not a perfect square you want to write. In case of the 6th question, a number ends with 2, it is not a perfect square. In the 7th question, same comment you want to write. If a number ends with odd number of zeros, it is not a perfect square. In last question also, you want to write the same comment. If a number ends with 1 0 means odd number of zeros, therefore it is also not a perfect square. You see, Nana, the third question. The third question is, the squares of which of the following would be the odd numbers? I already told you in property 3, the square of odd number is always odd, the square of even number is always even. If you go for the first question, this is 431. It is an odd number. Therefore, the square of 431 also an odd number. In case of second number, it is 2826. Therefore, it is an even number. Its square also an even. But in case of third, it is an odd number. Therefore, square of this number is odd number. In case 4, it is an even. The square of this number is also even number. And 4th question and 5th question, it is an homework for you. This is a pattern. Just you think what are those answers and you write those answers. It is very easy. I don't want to explain that number. I explain those questions 4 and 5. And 6th question also. 6th question I will explain the pattern. It is somewhat easy. You see, Nana, in first one it is given that 1 square plus 2 square plus 2 square is equal to 3 square. You see, 1 2s are 2. So after 2 you are getting here 3. Next 2 3s are 6. After 6 you are getting here 7. 3 4s are 12. After 12 you are getting here 13. Here one number is missed. 4 5s are 20. So you want to write here 20 square. Then it is 21 square. Here it is given as 30. So 5 into what is equal to 30? 5 into 6. So here you want to write 6. In the last one, 6 7s are 42. Here you want to write 42 square and the last answer is 43 square. If you observe carefully, you can write these answers very easily. Next, 7th question is very, very important, Nana. So I am forget to explain one property, that is the sum of n odd numbers is equals to n square. The sum of n consecutive odd numbers is equals to n square. So that is the property. According to that property, 7th question is given. You see, Nana, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9. 1 is the first odd number, 3 is the second odd number, 5 is the third odd number, 7 is the fourth odd number, and 9 is the fifth odd number. So how many odd numbers are there? There are 5 odd numbers and they are conjugate, means serial. So this is nothing but it is equals to 5 square, that is equal to 25. You don't want to add 1 plus 3, 4 plus 5, 9 plus 7, like that you don't want to add. Just simply according to the property, the sum of n conjugative odd numbers is equals to n square. So in first question there are 5 odd numbers, that's why 5 square is equal to 25. If you go for the next question, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 odd numbers, therefore that is equal to 10 square, you will get 100 is the answer. In the next question, I think there are 12 odd numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 odd numbers, that is equal to 12 square, that is equal to 144. 144 is the answer you will get. So in the 8th question, that is given that express 49 as the sum of 7 odd numbers. 49 is nothing but 7 square. So 7 odd numbers, first 7 odd numbers you write, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13. So if you'll add these numbers, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 39, you will get again 49. So I wrote 49 as the sum of 7 odd numbers. In the same way, 121 is nothing but 11 square. So 11 square means you write first 11 odd numbers, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13 plus 15 plus 17 plus 19. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 means 21. If you add all these numbers, you will get 121. So like this we can write as 121 as the sum of 11 odd numbers. So 11 square is equal to 121. That's why I wrote 11 odd numbers, conjugative odd numbers. Next, 9th question. This is now only I explain the how many numbers lie between the squares of the following numbers is given. So in first question it is given that 12 and 13. 12 and 13. The question is how many numbers lie between 13 square and 12 square is asking. Already I told you the formula is 2n. N means the small number, 2 into 12, that is equal to 24. Therefore, in this there are 24 numbers lie between 12 square and 13 square. In the same way, 25 and 26. So which is the small number? 25 is the small number. 2n means 2 into 25. There are 50 numbers lie between 26 square and 25 square. In the same way, 99 and 100. So how many numbers lie between 100 square and 99 square? Means 100 square and 99 square. 99 is the smaller number. So 2 into 99, that is equal to 198. So there are 198 numbers between 100 square and 99 square. So here this answer is 198 and this answer is 50 and this answer is 24. So we can write these answers by our properties of square numbers. So this is the end of your 6.1 exercise, and you copy all the properties of square numbers and you write down all the important points in this class, and you complete 6.1 exercise in your notebook. In the next class I will complete the next exercise. The next exercise also very important exercise is there, that is 9.2. After 9.2 we will go for the what is square root. In square root also there are different properties also there. So in the next class we will discuss about the square roots and how to find a square of a number in different methods. There are near about 3-4 methods is given in your NCERT textbook. You will find how to find a square of the given number. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Hello 9th class children. I have already explained up to 5.3 exercise 5th question. This is the 6th question. In 6th question it is given that if the work done of a body and application of a constant force is directly proportional to the distance traveled by the body, express this in the form of an equation in 2 variables and draw the graph of the same by taking the constant force as 5 units. Also read from the graph the work done when the distance traveled by the body is the question. So here two conditions is given. One is the 2 units and the second one is the 0 units. You see, Nana, in this question, you say that the work done W and the force is F and distance traveled by the body is D. So here I am taking as a work done is Y and the force has given as a constant force, that is 5 units, and the distance traveled by the body you say as X. You know one physics formula, that is work done is equals to force into distance. Therefore W is equal to F into D. Therefore Y, W is the Y, therefore Y is equal to 5x is the given equation. This is the equation in two variables. So now here in case 1, 2 units, I mean x is equal to is given as x is equal to is given as 2 units. So x is equal to, it is given that 2 units. Therefore y is equal to what, Nana? 5 into x, that is equal to 5 into 2, that is equal to 10. So y is equal to 10. Therefore the point is, so x is 2 and y is 10. Sorry, 2 comma 10. The case 2, x is equal to is given as 0 units. Therefore y is equal to 5x, that is equal to y is equal to 5 into 0. Then you can say that y is equal to also 0. Therefore the point is 0 comma 0. You say case 3, let x is equal to, you say as 1 unit. Then y is equal to 5x. Therefore y is equal to 5 into 1. Therefore y is equal to 5. Point is 1 comma 5. So now I got 3 points. That is, first point is 2 comma 10, second point is 0 comma 0, and the third point is 1 comma 5. Now you take a graph paper. Say this is the graph, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. On this graph paper you want to draw the linear equation by using these 3 points. You say this is the origin 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. On y-axis I can take 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So you say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So this is 1 2 3 4. The first point is 2 comma 10. This is 2 comma 10 point. And the second point I got 0 comma 0. This is 0 comma 0. And the third point I got 1 comma 5. It will be here. If you take a scale and draw equation is like this. So I already told you how to draw a linear equation in the before question. So this is the equation y is equal to 5x. So by this you can write down the answer when x is equal to 2. When x is equal to 2, then the y value is, when x is equal to, when x is equal to 2, y is equal to 10. And when according to this point, when x is equal to 0, y also equals to 0. If the distance traveled by the thing is 0, the work done also 0. If the force is 5 is the constant, then x is equal to 2, then the work done you will get as 10 units. Here y is equal to 0 units. This is the brief explanation of your question number 4.3. So by watching this video, you can copy the question also. Here I taken the case 3, it is not any given in your textbook, that is x is equal to 1. Why I taken this point means, I already explained you want to draw a linear equation, at least you have to take 3 solutions. That's why I taken the case 3, because I need 3 points. By 2 points also you can draw a line. Sometimes it may be wrong. That's why I have taken the third point. So by these 3 points I have drawn the linear equation. So this is the linear equation. You want to draw this linear equation in your graph paper, not in a normal paper. You have to take a graph paper and you draw x-axis and y-axis and you put these 3 points. Don't use this color paper, color pens, and use only pencil. By this graph you want to write these two conditions. Then that is when x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 10 units. When x is equal to 0 units and y is equal to 0 units, that is the answer for this given question. So I will go for the next one. That is the seventh question. In the seventh question, it is given that two friends. The one friend is Yamini and another friend name is Fatima. Both are collected. These two students of ninth class of a school together collected 100 rupees towards the Prime Minister's Relief Fund to help the earthquake victims. Write a linear equation when the satisfy the data. So here Yamini and Fatima both are two friends and they are collected 100 rupees for the CPM's relief fund. So let amount uh, let amount contributed by Fatima Yamini is equal to, you say, X rupees. Let amount contributed by Fatima, you say, as Y. Already in the given question it is given that the both are collected 100 rupees. Therefore you can say X plus Y is equal to 100. So this is the required linear equation in two variables. So according to this linear equation, now you want to draw the graph. So for the graph purpose, you want to say take the three solutions. So I am drawing here X and Y. For example, you think that amount contributed by Yamini is 20 rupees. Then amount contributed by Fatima, it may be 80 because the sum of these two will be always equals to 100. For example, you say this is 50. For example, the amount contributed by Yamini is 50 rupees. Then amount contributed by Fatima also 50 rupees. If you say this is 40, then it will be 60. So the points are 20 comma 80 and 50 comma 50 and 40 comma 60. So these are the 3 points I got. So now you take a graph paper. You say this is y-axis and this will be x-axis. This is y-axis and this is the origin. Now you tell me, so your graph paper is very small. You can't take the values as 50, 30, 40. So you want to make a scale, different scale. You can take this is 10, this is 20, and you say this is 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 like this. This is also 10, 20, and this is 30 and this is 40 and you say this is 50 and this is 60. Like that you want to write the scale, and afterwards you have to mention on x-axis 1 unit is equal to 10, on y-axis 1 unit is equal to 10. So this is the scale factor you want to mention. So according to the given question, the first solution is 20 comma 80. So this is 70. You can say this is 80. The first point is 20 comma 80. It will be here. The next point is 50 comma 50. It will be here. The last one is 40 comma 60. The 50 comma 50 and 40 comma 60 means it will be in between these two. So if you draw the graph, you will get a like this. So this is x plus y is equal to 100. So this is my linear equation. So by this linear equation, you can find different solutions also. Uh, if I take 60, if the if the amount collected by the Yamni is 40, then it will be equals to the 50. It will be, sorry, if Yamni collected the 60 rupees, then it will be equals to the 40. So again, these two values will be, the sum of these two values will be equals to 100. So which point you can take, then the sum of x plus y is equal to always it is equals to 100. So this is the linear equation for your seventh question, that is x plus y is equal to 0, and these are the three solutions I have taken differently. So by these three solutions, you can draw the graph of that particular question. After watching this video, you can ask some doubts also. If you are not understood, you ask me some doubts. Uh, then I can solve those doubts again, and I will explain those doubts again. The last one, it is very very important. So here, in some countries like USA and Canada, the temperature is measured by Fahrenheit. In our India, it is measured by Celsius. But in some countries, as USA and Canada, they will measure the temperature in Fahrenheit. Where is countries like India and it is measured by Celsius. Here is a formula is given in 8th question. That is F is equal to 9 by 5 of C plus 32. So in ninth class, all ninth class students know very well. This is the relation between the Fahrenheit and Celsius degrees of temperature. So by this you want to draw the graph of this one. Then afterwards, some questions is given under that question. So 5 questions are there. You say F is equal to, if I make it simplification, 9C by 5 plus 32. For example, here I am writing the solution box of this one. You take 4 solutions, no problem. Draw the graph. First question is the draw the graph of the linear equation by using the Celsius as x-axis and Fahrenheit as y-axis is given. So this question will be changes is equal to Fahrenheit is given as y. So y is equal to 9x by 5 plus 32. Because according to the question, Fahrenheit you have to take the y-axis and Celsius you have to take the x-axis. Therefore, this one will be changes into y is equal to 9x by 5 plus 32. So you write here x and y. For example, if I take x is equal to 5, what happens you see? If x is equal to 5, so y is equal to case 1, x is equal to 5. So y is equal to 9x 5 by 30 plus 32. So y is equal to 9 into 5 by 5 into 32. So 5 cancel, y is equal to 9 into 32. So y is equal to 9 twos are 9 twos are 18, 9 threes are 27, 28. So 288 degrees of Fahrenheit. So if x is 5 degrees, so this value will be changes into 9 into 32. Therefore, it is equals to 232. So in second question, you see, Nana, if the temperature is 30 degrees, what is the temperature is in Fahrenheit? The second question is, if second question is given that, so x is equal to, I'm sorry, once again I want to check here the linear equation, draw the graph as using as a Celsius as the x-axis and the Fahrenheit as the y-axis, no problem. This is the first question answer, y is equal to 9x by 5 plus 32. So the second question is the temperature, means x is equal to is given as 30 degrees. Then you want to find the value of y. So y is equal to, already you know that 9x by 5 plus 32. So y is equal to, it is 9 into 30 by 5 plus 32. So this is 6 are. So y is equal to 9 6 are 50. Sorry, here it is plus nana. This is equals to 41 degrees. I am sorry, I just multiplied. That is 9 plus 32 is 41 degrees. And the x is equal to 30 degrees. It will be 9 6 are 54 plus 32. That is equal to 86 degrees of Fahrenheit. That 30 degrees Celsius is equals to 86 Fahrenheit, and in case 1, 5 degrees of Celsius is equals to 41 degrees of Fahrenheit. So this is 41, and if x is equal to 30, then this value will be 86. So this is the second question answer. And the third question, if you go for the third question, the Fahrenheit value is given. I mean, the temperature is 95 Fahrenheit. So F is equal to 95 degrees of Fahrenheit. Already we said that Y is equal to 95 is given. 95 is given. Then you want to find the value of X, that is equal to, equation is Y is equal to 9X by 5 plus 32. So Y is 95 is equal to 9x by 5 plus 32. So if you'll send 32 to this side, 95 minus 32 is equal to 9x by 5. Next, 95 minus 32, it will be 63 is equal to 9x by 5. Therefore, x is equal to 63 into 5 by 9. 9 ones are 9 sevens are. Therefore, x is equal to 35 degrees of Celsius. So, if y is equal to 95, then x value I got as 35 degrees. I think you understood. In third question, it is given that the Fahrenheit temperature is given that Fahrenheit is equal to 95 degrees of Fahrenheit. Now you want to find the value of x. Then I got the value of x is here. It is 35 degrees of Celsius. So what is the fourth question you see, Nana? If the temperature is 0 Celsius,